Okay, good morning, guys. Um, I know we're still joining, so I don't know if we should wait for the others. Should we wait a bit for the others, or should we kickstart? Yeah, good morning, Praise. Can anybody hear me? Can anybody hear me? Hello, guys. Oh, okay, that's cool. Okay, so we have 5 people on call right now. Um, should we proceed, or are we waiting for anyone else? Okay, all right. We have 6 persons now. So, okay, I'll say we proceed. Okay, the others can actually join us, and I believe they'll be able to catch up. If not, they can always go back to the video on YouTube and watch. All right, I know we all have a lot on our plate, starting from yesterday and everything with the downtime we're experiencing on the cloud environment. But notwithstanding, this has been scheduled, and it wouldn't be a good thing that we. Yeah, good morning, Regina. So it wouldn't be a good thing that we actually postpone this again. It's been lingering for too long. All right, so it's fine that we just do this, then we all get back to the escalation and issues on round. Even though I'll try to make this as short as possible. All right, it wouldn't be taking too long. Okay, so I believe everyone is hearing me clearly, and I believe we all know how this works. If you have a question, you can stop me at any point. Put your question as a comment there, and I'll put it on the screen. Then we discuss the question. All right. If you're not hearing me, you can still indicate. Then I'll speak up. Okay. So our topic now. Yeah. Good morning, AY. Okay. Our topic according to the plan now for the training is Layer 3 Cloud customer onboarding. All right. I believe we're all conversant with the onboarding process for FTTH and um, maybe the other kind of customers we have in the company. But for the cloud customers, as I was discussing with Latif the other day, there is this kind of gap. Okay, the, there is there is no particular structure on how the onboarding process should go and the kind of questions that should be asked or feedback that should be expected from the customer. Okay, so this is what this actually covers. All right. So before this stage where the engineering support actually comes in and onboard the customer, there is a process of okay, the sales, landing the gig, they bring it up, they sign the customer up, we we deploy the customer's environment. All right, then send the GCF, the customer signs up on the GCF, and the GCF is shared with with Charlene and her team. Then that now is being handed to you guys, which is supporting engineering support now, and a formal mail is sent to the customer, I believe. Then from there now, there should be like a stretch period of onboarding. All right, and this okay. Let me go to the first slide. Okay, so this is where I want to start talking about this, who actually concerns you guys properly. Okay, in onboarding the cloud customer, as it is with other customers, there are a set of questions asked, okay, and feedbacks gotten. Oh, how did this picture come on here? Oh, damn. Okay, in onboarding the customer, there are a set of questions and feedbacks that are expected. Okay, this feedback is in turn used to better fine tune the nature of services rendered to customers. Okay, in the course of this, sorry about the slide. Okay, I'm going to send a better one. I really do not know, do you know that this picture actually is covering this part of it, but I'll send an updated one. All right, so the paramount motive about this onboarding period now is to kind of get a feel of what the customer thinks about his services, okay, and how to better serve the customer, fine tune their product or fine tune their experience to make them even recommend the services to other people. All right, and in the process of onboarding there is also a little space or margin for sales also. You might not really know that you're actually doing that, but it actually happens. All right, even though that is not the highlight of the onboarding process, but that is also somewhere in the process. Okay, this is terrible. Okay, the period of onboarding could take as much as a month or as little as 1 week. All right, please just give me a second. Let me get um, the raw file for this. Okay. Okay. Sorry for that brief cut. So what I was saying is during the period of onboarding, like it could take as much as a month or as little as 1 week. It could be It could be longer or shorter depending on the nature of services offered. I believe right now the standard for onboarding process for other customers is, I think, 1 month for the company, right? Like during that 1 month, you interact with with the customer, you try to get his feedback, you try to get his feel about the whole services and everything. Okay, and but it is also advised that a time balance is struck. Okay, somewhere between somewhere in between. All right, maybe it can, the thing is, depending on the customer's experience. Now if the customer is facing some kind of challenges, this could even exceed more than a month. Yeah. All right, and if everything is so smooth and so seamless, and depending on the nature of the service, it could take little less than a month. All right, but not regardless of all this, it is very, very important to actually strike a balance, not to make this onboarding process too long, all right, or too short. This is so you won't kind of start it won't get to a point where you start to burden the customer with calls and messages and stuff, and then that will now become result to an issue that we are all avoiding. Okay, so as I said earlier, depending on the nature of the product or service, the onboarding process can actually take longer. And since our case study right now is the is the cloud is for the cloud customers. I will say a period of 1 month is actually a balanced time to go through this onboarding process with customers. Okay, so I try to divide the period into weeks: week 1, week 2, and week 3, then week 4, and the kind of questions and inquiries that should be required of the customer. Okay, so on in the week 1, that is after the handover has been done now, and the engineering support is now in charge of kind of handling the customer. Yeah, even though I know that, yeah, other departments have a role to play along the line and everything, but I'll still get to that later in the course. Okay, in the week 1, okay, the first I think interaction that should be welcoming the customer on board. Okay, and this is where you actually confirm from the customer if there is any individual, or if there's any person particularly in charge of that infrastructure. Okay, that is particularly in charge of the infrastructure, because most of the times the contact person now for the organization is not always the technical person in the organization. Okay, the contact person might just be a manager, or the salesperson, or the accountant. All right, but the person actually responsible now for their infrastructure, for the cloud infrastructure now, will probably and most times be an engineer. Okay, an engineer, a developer, or something like that. Okay, so it is important now on this first call now that you get the right person, that you get to the right person you are supposed to ask questions, or try to that you'll be interfacing with, so you won't be asking the wrong person that wouldn't be giving you the actual or real value of real responses to the kind of questions you'll be asking. All right. So the next question you're going to be asking, that is after you've gotten access now to the actual person that is responsible now for the infrastructure, that's responsible for their cloud environment now. You ask them about the portal accessibility. All right. When I talk about the portal accessibility, we know that the Abuja cloud customers, actually access their portal via the web address abj.layer3cloud. Okay. Uh, let me Yeah, abj.layer3.cloud. All right, then slash the tenant. All right, so you can ask the customer, okay, do you know how to access the portal? Have you accessed the portal? You understand, things like that. Some of them wouldn't really understand what you're talking about, so sharing the link to them will actually come in handy. All right, and then the next question now, assuming that okay, they have access to their portal, right? After the second question, you confirm eligibility of their credentials. Okay, what I mean by eligibility of their credentials is that once we, from the side of the cloud operations, the moment we deploy a customer's environment, we go ahead to share credentials to their servers on that environment, and also password to the portal also in a secret email, all right, with them. So you try to get to ask them. That is why it is important at first to make sure that the person you're speaking with is the right person, is the technical person in charge of this infrastructure. All right, so you ask them if they have access to these credentials. Have they tried the credentials? Are they actually working? Okay, they should confirm that, so that it wouldn't get to a case where they'll start sending an email. It doesn't always look good that a new customer you just landed, everyone is happy, then they start sending back an email that the credentials you sent to us is not working, or we don't know how to enter it, or something like that. So it's good that we get to them first. Okay, so you ask them, okay, your credentials, how eligible are they? Are they working? Have you tried entering them? Okay, the customer might say, oh, I haven't accessed my infrastructure yet. I'm going to do that. Then you can, at that point, ginger the customer, push the customer a bit. Okay, why not do that? Okay, give me a timeline when you're gonna log in and take a look at your environment and get back to me. All right, so this all happens in week 1. All right, you can split the days. Maybe you can do this the first day, or you can just follow up on this in one day stretch. all right, on one phone call. It's very much possible. But in a case where, okay, the customer needs to go and come back, or needs to divert the call to someone else, hand you over to someone else, then that can take a couple of days. But this all should happen within the first week, all right, the first week of onboarding. Then coming to the week two now of onboarding now. At this point, customer has confirmed accessibility to their resources. If not, encourage the customer to do so. Then advise item 3. Okay, so if the customer now have kind of confirmed accessibility now to their environment, that is from week one, they have actually confirmed this. Okay, have allowed them to kind of sign in and get a feel of the whole thing. Okay, then here now you can now begin to ask them stuff like, okay, you have seen your environment and you've gotten access, your resources according to specifications. You understand? Like they should check, okay, there's a specification sheet that they actually shared, that we shared, that they sheet that, okay, the how the thing works is that they tell us what they want, we drop a specification sheet, we send to them, they sign off on it, then we deploy. All right. So you ask them, okay, the document you signed off on, the specification you actually asked of, what you're seeing right now equal to those things you actually requested for. You understand? So the customer might go ahead and say, yeah, definitely. So it's always going to be yeah. But if they have any discrepancy, like, okay, I didn't think we asked for this much, or it's not really, we're not seeing as much as we requested for, then this can always be escalated now to the cloud operations team. All right. Then um the next thing you can go ahead to ask the customer is about the feel of the experience of the resources. All right, how maybe the speed of the servers, agility of the resources, in short, the overall performance of their environment. All right, what do they think? Are they impressed with it? Are they okay with it? Yeah, definitely they'll always be okay with it. But yes, you can still have some other customers that might come up and say, okay, maybe this is not really, it's not as fast as I expected it to be, or something like that. Then we can now niche down and, you know, try to isolate what the issue is. Most of the times it might be the customer's internet. Okay, and if it is a company and maybe their internet is not as fast enough to access these resources, then that is an opening, okay, for to suggest our internet services to them. All right, yes, even though I say this is not the primary goal, but there's always a room for a little sales there once in a while. All right, so if it's the internet that is a problem, we niche down and say, okay, the internet is a problem, why not try upgrading your internet, and you might get a better performance. And mind you, Layer 3 offers internet services also. All right, then after that, what you can next encourage the customer to do is harden their resources. What I mean by hardening is maybe changing their password, then enabling maybe uh, um, two-factor authentication, 2FA, or something like that. You understand? Try to harden the environment, but especially they have to change their password, so you don't look as if, okay, we provided them with password and we still have access to the password and the resources. It wouldn't look good that way. Okay, so that's a next thing that actually can be done. All right, at this point, does anyone have a question? I believe there are a couple of questions. If you have a question, you can just um type it out. I know it will be kind of cumbersome typing out your question, but you have to be with us. Okay, no question. Then, but if you still have a question, you can just type it out or put it up on the screen. Then we discuss the question. All right. So this for week two. This for week two. Then going to the third week now. At this point, you have confirmed, okay, that the customer is satisfied with their resources performance. Don't forget, you've already asked them about the entire experience, the speed and agility of their servers. You've asked them about accessing the portal and everything. All right. So at this point now, you will now get to ask them, okay, do you have an issue navigating the portal? You understand? Have you gone through the portal and stuff like that? You understand? You just ask them if they have any difficulty navigating through the portal, administrating the portal, administrating the machines via the portal, and via the web portal and stuff like that. And if the customer now kind of have challenges navigating through the portal or within the portal now, you can now direct them to the Layer 3 Cloud knowledge base. I believe you all know that we have a knowledge base on our Layer 3 Cloud website. All right, so the knowledge base now contains like detailed overview of how the the cloud portal and the virtual machines can be administrated. Okay, so at this point you can direct them to the Layer 3 Cloud knowledge base. And if somehow you perceive that the customer's issue is peculiar or kind of technical in a way, then you can always involve the cloud operations unit, all right, and we'll look into it with the customer. Okay, most of the time, so we have a customer like that. I think that is not cool. We have had several sessions with them, you understand, explaining the whole cloud portal environment and stuff, like series of very detailed class, you understand. And I can understand that at first the cloud portal can seem overwhelming, you understand, so many parts and so many things to so many handles and stuff like that. All right, so you can also confirm at this point now if they have experienced any issues with availability of their resources. All right, when I mean availability of their resources, okay, like their server is not reachable, they are trying to RDP into it and they can't, and they are trying to SSH into it and they can't, maybe they can't ping it, you understand, and stuff like that. If it's a web server, okay, maybe the website is down, they don't know what's going on, you understand. You try to get a feel of their issues if they actually have any. All right, you just try to, okay, have you experienced any issues with your availability? Have you tried, okay, what kind of server you're running? Have you pinged it? Have you, like, the services you're running, are they up all the time? If by any chance now the customer comes up and say, okay, I think there was a day we had a downtime and or I experienced that I couldn't access the server somehow, then at this point it is important that you take timestamps. Okay, it actually take timestamps. You try to get the particular range in time the customer experienced that downtime, then we can further investigate and make sure that things like this doesn't happen again. Okay, then in the week 4, you can now, like this, you trying to casually close up on the onboarding process now with the customer. Okay, so at this point you're going to ask them how they rate their experience. All right, like you can allow them rate their experience in whatsoever way they wish, but if they're having difficulty, you can also ask them, okay, in the range of 1 to 10, how are you going to rate our services so far? How are you going to rate your experience so far? All right, it's very important that you get the complete mindset or experience of the customer during this period. This will actually determine how we carry along continuously. So you try to get their experience. I think recently someone on my cloud team is, I think, Oyine is have been making some series of calls to customers, and she always asks a question. Okay, from the range of 1 to 10, how are you going to rate our services? Okay, so the customer, this is very easy. The customer can say, okay, let's say 7, or let's say 5. You understand? Then when they give that kind of, you now say, okay, why 5? Why not 9? And stuff like that. Then they will furthermore open up to you on what they think. All right. So you can also continue the conversation and ask the customer if they have any suggestion, feedback, or pain points. All right, so at this point now, the feedback that the customer is giving to you might not entirely be technically related. All right, it might be, okay, I have an issues with billing, we've been trying to make payment and or something like that. You understand? It might be related to one of these department, might be related to our department, the way we kind of deployed all our relationship during the deployment period, or it might be with the sales, their account, or it might be with billing. All right, and you can, even if the customer doesn't get specific, you can, I believe you can use your initiative now to furthermore isolate the issue now and assign it to the responsible department. All right, so this question is always very important, getting the feedback, all right, or the pain point of a customer. Okay. So you can now further more as a customer if they will appreciate a monthly or a weekly check-ins. Okay, mind you, you're not giving an option of if they will appreciate the check-in at all. You're giving them the options of either a monthly or weekly check-ins. All right, so depending on what the customer chooses, and at this point, this particular point now, this particular item now, we say okay, is the team now can further discuss about it now and decide the model of reaching out to customers that are going to use. Is it going to be monthly or is it going to be weekly? All right. So either way, if if the both options are on the table, you can now present it to the customer for the customer to actually choose. Is it going to be monthly? Is it going to be weekly? It's actually important that we reach out to these customers um, intermittently once in a while to get their experiences. We don't always wait for them to reach out to us and stuff. Recently, a customer reached out to us and was, kind of complaining that since the deployed, since they've been on our platform, that no one has reached out to them to know if they're actually using their resources or not. You understand? Okay, I kind of understand it from the customer side. Customers are like babies. You have to pamper them and pet them. All right, you have to always reach out to them. Even if it's for nothing, just reach out to them. I hope you're having a good time. Okay, how you have how's been your experience so far? I hope there's no issue. Would you like us to do this? Would you like us to do that? You understand? Just stuff like that. All right. Then, in conclusion, in summary, it is important that during this process, something like a scoreboard, okay, with details of customer experience is made. Okay, this will enable responsible department rectify. Sorry. Okay, this will make responsible department rectify and improve customers experience while adjusting for other prospective customers as well. All right, so when we keep a scoreboard or like a documentation for the conversations with all these customers, it kind of actually help the unit, which is our own unit, improve on how we render our services to customers and where to actually make amendment, not just for the customer at that time, but for also prospective future customers. All right. So at this point, I think that's the end of the class, and as I promised you all, it was going to be a short class, just 30 minutes. All right. So I don't know. I believe there should be a ton of questions. I'm expecting questions, please. Questions, or unless no one was listening to me, I was just speaking to myself. Okay, let's do this way. If you don't have a question, just say no question. Just type no question so that we know that someone is actually with me. Okay, no question from Friday. No question from Charlton. What about suggestions? Suggestions also are welcome. So if you have suggestions and no questions, then okay. Praise is actually typing his question, so that's cool. So if you also have suggestions, please. Boss has a question. No. Boss, please go ahead. Please, so go ahead. We want questions. Okay. Okay. Praise is asking a question. And this is question. This Praise's question. Says, so should in case that a customer is already on our internet, but then they are having issues with the resource accessibility, what should be done? Okay, I'm guessing you're trying to say, okay, the customer is actually uh okay, you mean you said internet here, so I'm confusing for network for that we actually supplying them internet. But if what you mean is if the customer is on our cloud environment and they're having issues with accessibility, what should we do? Okay, before now, okay, I don't think you've actually joined us before by then. Actually, we actually had a class on troubleshooting, okay, on customer environment troubleshooting. All right. So if the customer is having issues with accessibility now for the cost for with their environment now, you can now ask a series of short questions. All right, like okay, what's the nature of the issue you're having? Are you able to ping it? Okay, are you able to log in to your server? You understand? Just get try to niche down the question. Try to get the angle at which the question the issue is emanating from. Okay, then you can now escalate to us. All right, but before then, there are very simple things that you can actually do, like getting the public IP address of the customer and pinging their resources. All right, you're pinging it. All right, you're doing a net scan. You're doing a you understand? You're just doing the primary stuff. Okay, then maybe I don't know if you guys have access to environment now. That will be provided. Maybe only view access. We'll find a way maybe to raise it now with a team. Okay, so you can actually see that okay, this customer's virtual machine is it running, it's not running. Okay, at this point you can escalate to us now. We can actually now take it from there and try to isolate what the issue is. Okay, but it's very important that you kind of isolate to a particular angle or size of what the customer issue is. Then you can now forward it to us. Then we can now take it off from there. All right, that is in the case where the customer is having resource accessibility issue. All right, so inaccessibility issue now can be even as little as maybe my password is not working, the URL I'm using is showing is not going through. Okay, then at that point you can now get okay, what's the URL you're trying to access your portal with? Okay, what's the password is what was the error the pass when you enter the password? What was the error the password entry is giving you? Is it the wrong password? Is it something else? Then at this point we can actually take it up. Okay, maybe is it to reset the credentials for the environment sent to the customer, or or maybe correct the customer on the URL they're actually using to access the portal. So I don't know, please, if that answers your question. If you actually meant something else by internet, then please kindly indicate, then we'll look into it again. So Latif says, so my question is, do we have that access to the customer knowledge base and what's the URL? Okay, yes, the customer knowledge base is actually public. All right, it's on the Layer3Cloud website. All right, I will get the URL and I will send it in the email, in the follow-up email after this class. Okay, the knowledge base is actually public. Yeah, everyone has access to it. All right. So, and the next question is, And is the customer also aware of the knowledge base? Yes, the customer is aware of the knowledge base. The onboarding email, official onboarding email that is sent to the customers, I believe contains this knowledge base, linked to the knowledge base. All right, we try to tell the customer that, okay, if you have further inquiry or something like that, or you are confused about something, you can now go to the knowledge base. All right, and even if the person now you are interacting with is not the person that received the onboarding email or something like that, you can always direct them to the knowledge base. It's just a URL, just a link you send to them to go look at, and they probably might find what they're looking for there. Okay. So and that question, you mentioned that we take the timestamps from where, please? Okay, what I meant by timestamps, what I meant by timestamps is that when the customer, where is that? Just hold on. Yes, this, when the customer now confirms that they have experienced some issues, maybe during the period of the onboarding while coming on, they have actually experienced issues. Maybe the customer can say something like, I tried to access my resources right SSH and I couldn't. All right. So it is important that I ask them, okay, what's the day? What time range is it? Around 4 to 6, around 1 to 2. All right. So you can actually get these details. Now that's what I meant by timestamps. Okay. You get the day, you get the time, and you kind of put it into record and maybe forward it to us. Then we can investigate that particular period of time, what might have actually happened. Okay. So I don't know if I've answered your question, Latif. If I didn't, um, please indicate. Okay. So Praise says his question is answered though. So I'm still expecting questions. Or if for those that don't have questions, you can just tell me. Oh, fine, no question. All right. So Latif says we've answered his question. So So why others are typing their question or trying to tell us that they don't have questions, I will still encourage us to go to on this particular channel on YouTube. Now you can see the previous videos we've actually had, the previous classes. So when your own spare time, you can just take a look at it. All right. That was, I think, we talked about um troubleshooting of customers' environments, at least the one that the engineering support can do on their end before they hand it over to the cloud ops teams, to the cloud ops team. All right. So you can actually take a look at it and, you know, maybe you pick one or two things from there. And I believe Praise will actually find that useful because that relates to his question, the question he actually asked. Um, so, all right. Um, so, another question. Mm, okay, if there are no questions, you can just give me a thumb up emoji. So I will just know that we're all good. Okay. Okay. At this point, I believe there are no other questions or suggestions. So I will send a follow up email. Okay, Praise he doesn't have any other question. Thank you, Praise. All right, send a follow up email now, containing the slide. But really, Latif says, cause it seems we are lost. Ah, please, 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 please. Okay, a recap. Okay, as Latif is saying, I should do a recap. Maybe some people actually joined late, and maybe some people didn't really get a hang of the whole class or something like that. Okay, I think I'll just do a very quick uh, recap. Okay, let me do a very quick recap, maybe a 5 minutes recap of the entire class. All right. So okay, so we talked about cloud customer onboarding. Okay, and in the introduction, we say in onboarding the cloud customer, as it is with other customers, there are a set of questions asked, okay, and feedbacks gotten in stages. All right, this feedback is in turn used to better fine tune the nature of services rendered to the customer. All right, in the course of this, it is still possible to discover and sell to the customer other products that will furthermore aid at enhancing their experience. Okay, even though this shouldn't be the primary goal or motive. All right, the paramount motive is to see and ensure that the customer is completely satisfied with with the services being rendered to them. All right, and I furthermore went to Okay, and I furthermore went to kind of explain that we can now divide this onboarding period into 4 weeks, which is 1 month. And I believe that there is actually a particular model now that is used with other customers, all right, maybe for FTTH and the others, all right. And you can now under week one now, I kind of divided it, the questions that could be asked. This can be expanded, all right. The questions to be asked to be asked the customer can be expanded. Things can be added to the kind of questions, and one question can lead to another question, or one question can lead to more inquiry or something like that. Okay, so the week one we include welcoming the customer on board, asking them about the portal accessibility. And when I mean portal accessibility, I mean, if the customer is in Abuja, it's going to be like abj.layer3.cloud, all right, then slash the tenant name. If it is Lagos, it's going to be lag, which is Lagos, slash layer3.cloud also. All right. Then at this point, you can also confirm the eligibility of the customer's credentials. Okay. When the customer's environment is being deployed, credentials are created for their servers. Okay, and these credentials is shared with them in a secret mail. So at this point, you can ask now um, if the passwords that have been shared with them, if the credentials that have been shared with them are actually working fine for them. Okay, and before now, as I've said earlier, you should confirm that the person you're actually speaking with now is the right person in charge of the infrastructure. All right, because most of the times the person of contact in the company might be the manager, it might be the sales guy, it might be the finance officer or something like that. But it's important that you actually get directed to the technical person, the person in charge of the infrastructure, to ask them these questions. They will give you a better real time experience of what the environment is like. And then we can now go to week two now. All right, in week one now, you can now bunch up this all of these questions now in one day, in one conversation, or you can split it up across days depending on how your conversation with the customer goes. In week two now, at this point now, the customer has confirmed accessibility to their resources. If not, encourage the customer to do so. All right, then you get to confirm from the customer if the resources now are according to specification. All right, you can ask them about the performance of the resources. Are they up to what they were expecting? If their servers are running fine, the speed, the agility of the environment. Okay, you can now encourage the customer now to harden their resources. All right, to harden their servers. That is by maybe changing the password, adding two-factor authentication. We have things like Duo or something like that. You kind of encourage a customer a lot to harden their resources. All right. Then the week three now, at this point, you have confirmed that the customer is satisfied with resource performance. Okay, so you now get a feel of what the customer thinks about navigating the portal. All right, as the customer says the portal, what does it feel? Do you have issues as a navigating through the portal, maybe interacting with your servers via the portal and stuff like that? You try to get a feel of the customer administrating, what the customer thinks administrating the portal. All right, so at this point you get to confirm if they have experienced any issue in availability of their resources. Have they experienced any slight downtime? Have they tried SSH in pinging or something to their server, and it's not possible? At this point, you get this experience and you pass it on to us. All right, and this is where I say you take timestamps of when the kind of particularly experienced any particular downtime or failure in accessibility. All right, then in the week four now is where you ask the customer how they actually will rate their services. All right, you can actually give the customer now a range of 1 to 10 to choose. All right, on how they're going to rate the services. You can use any other metric you've been using now to, get the customer's feedback. How will they rate their services so far? Are they happy with everything and stuff like that? Okay, then you can now go ahead to ask the customer now, do they have any questions or any feedback, any pain points? All right, pain points can be something that has been giving them issues. They don't really know how to go about it or stuff like that. So you ask them, and the thing is, you still have to know that at this point the issue might not be just secluded or peculiar to the to cloud unit or the technical team. All right, it might be with sales, it might be with billing, it might be with any other, department, service delivery, anything. You understand? Then you try to get to what the customer thinks, or any frustration the customer is going through regarding any of our services. All right, then at this point you can go ahead to ask the customer if they will appreciate the monthly or weekly check-in. I believe at this point the engineering support team actually have a calendar on checking in on customers. It's either maybe monthly or weekly, or um, bi-weekly or something like that. So you can actually get a feel you can actually confirm from the customer. But if the two options now is an option, is on the table now for the support team, you can go ahead to put it up to the customer. Will you want us to call on you monthly or weekly? You understand? It's important to actually constantly check up on our cloud customers, because some of them might not really have the time to want to always call and say this, that, but they're actually experiencing something, not being frustrated about something. So we're reaching out to them. We actually show them that we care about them and the services we're offering them. All right, so that's a recap. Okay, and for the summarize, it is important that during this process something like a scoreboard with details of customer experience is made. Okay, this would enable a responsible department in rectifying and improving customer experience while adjusting for other prospective customers as well. All right, if we have if there is a scoreboard or like a documentation now about customer experience, like this customer on this date, under this month, this their experience, like that, like then we can now kind of know how well or how badly our services are to the customer. Okay, imagine like a customer having see maybe like 10 issues in 1 month. All right, and maybe during the onboarding period now they're having, you understand, a series of issues, and we know that something is actually wrong with our services and stuff like that. So that's a recap of the whole class, and I believe we all kind of have learned something. Okay, so Latif, I don't know if that actually does it for you. because it's the end of the class. Okay, okay, that's fine. So okay, Latif says we're good to go. So I believe there's no other question from any other person. I and I would like to also know that you can always ask questions. I'm going to share the slide, and at least I've done some research about this, so you can always come around, ask me questions, send me an email, call me, or stuff like that. Then we can chat up and clear things up. All right. All right. So thank you guys. Thanks for your time. I know your time like is very precious, and thanks for like giving us 51 minutes of it. All right. So have a great day, you all. Bye.